Unless it was like Everdell, Jaws of the Lion.
Now we're getting into a whole nother...
Wow. Okay, somebody is
but...
going to hate me in the comments or something.
Welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples, a channel of conversation and board games.
Hey, my name is Brent.
And I'm Nicole.
And welcome to Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. Today on the channel, we are diving into a pretty big universe, I would say.
Yep, it's a big one.
It's a big universe. Today we are looking at Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. I guess one might say Baby Gloomhaven.
Baby Gloomhaven. I would not want to meet Mama Gloomhaven.
Well, more on that.
Spoiler!
More on that in just a bit. But Gloomhaven is definitely a game that's not typically one that we would be drawn to. But over the years, gaming styles have changed, and ours have changed in the last few years as well, with adding and deleting some of the games that we have in our collection. So I'll show you how this plays, and this will be a very, very small overview of how the game plays. If you want to know more about the ins and outs, check out Rodney Smith. Watch It Played. He does 5 scenario training videos that are fantastic. But final forecast coming up. First,
cue the thunder.
So the radar overview for Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. This will be a very loose overview as to how to play this game. I'm going to kind of just show you what you get in the box. It actually says on the back of the box, if you want to know and learn how to play the game, check out Watch It Played featuring Rodney Smith. He does a tutorial on all 5 of the first starting scenarios that'll teach you everything you need to know about how to play Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. But I just want to show you what is in this one and kind of give you a little bit of a feel as to how this game plays. So as you see, you have this book, and this is the scenario book. Each of them, each of the 24 scenarios has its own page, and you'll just go through them one at a time. Some of the maps are even too big for this one, so it has a supplemental scenario book. So you would then add this. Let's, for example, you would add this one to, I believe, yes, you would put this at the bottom here. And so it would make your map a little bit bigger. But each scenario has a map. It has a starting place for all of the characters. You will pick one character which you will use throughout the game. And depending on, just putting these guys on, depending on how many players you play with, it will reflect as to how many bad guys are represented on each of the map. Each player gets a bunch of stuff in a little tuck box. So I was playing Hatchet, so this is his tuck box, and so it comes with his little profile card, as well as a backstory. This shows you as you level up how much life you get. Depending on what level you're at, you will start each scenario with that many life points. Each player gets a modifier deck when you're attacking. You get a starting hand of cards. You get 6, but you'll be adding and subtracting cards as you go, and as you continue to move through the game, you'll get more cards for your modifier deck and more cards in general. That'll just be more powerful for your character. As mentioned, there are 4 different characters, so there are 4 different tuck boxes, and each of them have different cards and whatnot that reflect that character. You also get 4 little tuck boxes with things that you'll open up during the campaign, and I will not spoil any of that. You have a token tray. You put all these tokens in there at the beginning. Then you have a ton of different baddies that you'll be playing against. Each of them comes with their own little baggie. Like I said, there is a bunch of them, even more. You get, matching dashboards for whichever villains or whatever monsters you're facing in a specific scenario, and you put them in these little sleeves here. And depending on which level, this is level 1 all the way up to level 7 for the Vermling Raider. So you put this in there, that's not going. There you go. Each villain or monster has its own deck as well, and this will kind of act very similar to your own deck. But on your turn, you pick one of these cards, or you pick two of these cards to play. I'll show you that momentarily. But you would just flip over the top one of the vermin of the monster deck. You have these cards. These will all be kind of not hidden objectives, but something you can go towards. And if you do, you'll get check marks, and those check marks will then translate onto your character page, where you'll be getting some perks and modifying your modifier deck. You'll also be leveling up and scoring gold and writing items that you have. You can get items throughout the game. There's a whole bunch of them, and they're anything from potions to armor to weapons to all sorts of things. So lots of different things there. As mentioned, very, very loose overview here. I'm going to show you kind of how you play each turn, like one round. You get a little player aid, and it shows you what you do per round. So you'll do card selection. Each player will take 2 cards, and they will put one on top of the other, and then they will reveal it. Whichever card, or whoever has the lowest in the middle here, that's the initiative, they will go first. And then you stack everybody, all the players, as well as the monsters initiative. So in this would be 85, so it would go last. But if it would have been lower than 46, it would have gone first. And then you act the monster through, and then whenever you play your cards, you either have to, you can play the sides of them, so just get movement as well as attacking, or you play the top of one card and the bottom of the other, or vice versa. So depending on which cards you play, which initiative, that'll affect the order, the turn order. Anytime you attack, you would say attack +2. You do your modifier, you flip it over, +1 attack. So then you would have a better attack. These cards have -1 as well as 0, and there's some curse cards that you'll get throughout the games and stuff like that. So there's just a bunch of things you need to do each turn. After these, after you've spent or use your cards, you put them in your discard pile. When you have no cards left, then you take a short rest and you randomly discard one of these out of the game, or out of that round, until the scenario's either won or lost. Or you can do a long rest, and you can then just take all your discard cards, pick which one you want to discard, heal yourself 2, and then you will go last, as if your initiative number was 99. But like I said, this is just like a super, super light overview as to how to play Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. It has a learn to play guide. This is absolutely fantastic. It shows you the first 5, and it like holds your hand, walks you through everything you need to know, and by the end of scenario 5, you'll know how to play the game with pretty much all the rules here. And then there's also this glossary, and this has just everything you need to know about different terminology, all that. So very well written rules, very well written learn to play guide. But there you have it. This is just the overview of all the content that you get in this game. And like I'm showing you, like there's a lot of content. You have about 24, 25 scenarios you can play. So there you have it. That is the radar overview for Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. Now let's move on over to the final forecast. So the final forecast for Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion. This is, as you saw in the radar overview, a game with a lot of content. The box is a pretty decent sized box. It's not a huge big box. It's not like normal size Gloomhaven, but there's a lot of content in this box. You got about 24 scenarios in that scenario book, and so you're getting a lot. I will say this, we're starting a new kind of format here on the channel, and I'm all about weather because I just like...
No, you're not.
No, I'm not all about weather.
But this channel is about weather.
This channel is all about weather.
Board games.
Whether or not a game is right for you.
Yeah.
I guess we're all about puns.
That's clever.
We're not about clever.
We should change the whole channel.
No, that's a bad idea.
Okay.
Anyways, we're going to come up with a new kind of way to look at a game, and it's called the Rain Index. And so, sticking with the weather theme, Rain Index, we're going to look at the rules, we're going to look at the aesthetic, we're going to look at the ingenuity of the game, and then finally, N will be any negative aspects that we didn't really like about the game. So, let's start this off with R, rules. There's a lot of rules in this game. There's also a how-to-play guide, which I will say, this was amazing.
Very well done.
This is very well done.
Good job.
It rolls you through the first 5 scenarios, showing you how to add cards, how to add, different tokens, how all these things add. And by the end of, the 5th scenario, you're you know how to play the game.
Yes, and we were constantly, not constantly, but regularly going back to the rule book to look, whoa, what is this again? Or what does this icon mean? Or what does this thing do? So it was good.
Yeah, and for people who are familiar with this genre of game, RPGs, dungeon crawls, Dungeons and Dragons type thing, adventure style games, a lot of this iconography will probably make sense as to how it works.
Right.
For us, it was new, so we had quite a bit to learn.
Yeah. Lots of icons.
As we went. And so, props to Cephalofair for making a very approachable game in this genre, because you can buy this, or you could buy this game at Target at one point, which is crazy. Amazing for the board game hobby that a game like this is available at Target, where you can buy a game like Uno.
Kind of bizarre.
Because those are like polar opposites.
I thought they were pretty similar.
Card play. That's about it. Card play. But I think the rules are really well written. There is a lot of them. I will say that. But
there's a lot of rules.
For the most
they're
part,
well done and they make sense.
We were able to figure them out.
Yeah.
So that's R. Moving on to aesthetics. So the look of the game, everything, production. I think, there's a lot of cards. The artwork, to me, is subjective. It's like fantasy themed. You got all sorts of weird looking characters and monsters and whatnot.
I don't know. I thought the minis were kind of cool.
Yeah, the minis were cool. We're not one to buy games for minis, but they were cool. It was a cool thing for people who are, getting into this genre to be like, oh, this is cool. And hobby board gaming is not just plastic yellow, blue, red, and green pawns.
From Sorry,
yes.
Yeah. What was I saying? I forget. But oh yes, everything is really well produced. I think all the components are good. Mm-hmm. It's not like this is some cheap, I don't know.
No.
Gloomhaven knockoff type game. It's Gloomhaven mini.
Yeah, it's baby Gloomhaven.
And it's well done.
And there's a lot of tokens. I got the token tray. That's nice. You put the little lid on. You're ready set up. I will say the board, well, not the board, but all the scenarios are in that coil binder.
Yeah.
You just open it up. You start putting things on. You don't have to dig in there for tiles to make a map. It's in that book, and then if the map is too big, it has that supplemental scenario book that you add to make your map a little bit bigger. And so I thought that was really good. There's a lot to set up, to me, every time you play this game. You got to dig through all the little baggies and put all the bad guys there, all the cards. Each player has their own box with all their cards and all that stuff. So there's a lot to set up in this. And I can see why people refer to these games as quote-unquote lifestyle games, where you play them and play them and play them, and you just don't take them off your table, which we do. But aesthetics, it looks all right. Mm-hmm. It's fantasy themed, so it is what it is.
Good. It's good.
Moving on to ingenuity. So the ideas in the game, uniqueness, creativity, this and that. I will say I really liked the card play in this game. how you have, your deck of cards. You start with 6 and you move up to, 10, 11, depending on how many your character can have.
Yeah.
And each turn, each round, you have to pick 2 cards and play the top of one and bottom of the other. And so often you're like, man, I want the top of this one. I want the top of that one.
Yeah, it made for some really interesting choices.
Yeah.
Like legitimately interesting. Like it was.
And on top of that, then the middle has the initiative number, where that sets up the turn order for you and your fellow, players.
Yeah.
As well as then the monsters have their decks and they have initiative. And there's some tough decisions, and I liked that a lot. That often you were like, man, I want to play this card, but I want to play the top of this card.
And I want to go first.
And you want to go first, because if I go first,
I want a low number, but I don't. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah.
And so I really liked that. Mm-hmm. I thought that was really cool. That would be like the thing that stands out the most in this game.
Yeah, it was
for me.
Creative.
Is the card play and how that works. I like then at the same time, you can have a short rest and a long rest. If you do a short rest, then you're just discarding a card. You're losing a card randomly, or you can do a long rest and you can pick which card.
Yeah, that was nice because you also heal.
Yeah, and you heal at the same time, and you're going to need to heal in some of these scenarios because the baddies, the monsters, they just keep coming at you again and again.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know, the card play, I really, really like that. I thought it was cool how you can level up. It's very much like a dungeon crawl.
Yeah. I think my favorite part of the game is like when you get to a point in a scenario where you're just like attacking, where like creatures or monsters or whatever are kind of surrounding you, and then you get to like just attack like crazy.
And we had a couple scenarios where, you were the Void Warden. Yeah. And you like push people back, and we were able to move and get a little bit of relief. And we had some tense situations where we're like, okay,
where we died.
Before that, where we had to flip like the modifier deck of the monster, be like, okay, if it's like a 1 or a 0, we're gonna live, and if it's if it's a 1, we're gonna die. If it's a 0, we're going to live. Yeah. And so there was that tense
card flipping moment where
tension where you're like flipping over it, and it's like, oh, we survived, we can keep battling. So it definitely has some tense situations.
It is
built into this game.
Okay, I will say this: the very first game that we played, like the first scenario, we finished the game and we were like, did we play this right? Because it seemed too easy.
But I think that's
just wait. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And then like the second one, it was like, okay, it's a little bit harder. And so it gets progressively more difficult.
It does.
Which I didn't realize at first. And so, yeah.
And that's just a testament
and it gets a lot harder.
to the scenario rulebook as it like welcomes you into the game, and it just shows you more and more and more.
Yeah.
So
that was good.
So that's that. So on, like, I guess we're going to call it the negative aspect of it, just so we can have our little acronym.
Negatives.
No, Demon Hunter. Anyways.
Yeah.
Negative.
No, that's not what I was referencing.
Oh, you weren't? Okay.
No.
It's all meta
but anyway.
all the time. But for like the negative aspect, this, as much as I like the card play and I liked kind of like progressing and stuff like that, to me, there's so much to manage in this game.
Well, yeah. I mean, and that was all on you when we were playing this. Like, you did all of the heavy lifting there. I just played the game. So for whoever is, kind of that person.
Unless everybody knows how to play the game.
Right.
And is
fully maybe like, that would be better.
I don't know. Like,
there's a lot.
There's a lot going on. To me, it was a lot of like, remembering, this person is muddled, or this person's disarmed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's the little tokens, like you do know what's going on, but it's remembering all of it. There's a lot
to remember. Yeah. And playing this didn't change my mind on whether I like dungeon crawls. It didn't change my mind on whether I like the fantasy theme.
Yeah.
Because both those are not necessarily games that I would be pulled towards.
Yeah, me neither.
I know, like, some of the dungeon crawly things, like, we really like Clank, and that's the dungeon crawl theme.
But I think with Clank, like, I don't care about the theme. It could be, like, Care Bears for all I care.
That'd
I just
be
like...
sweet.
That's the next Clank.
Care Bear deck building game?
Care Bear Clank.
No.
Okay, anyway.
But yes, I get it.
I like the gameplay in Clank. Like, I like deck builders. So I like the whole way that the game works. I don't care about... Theme is just usually something that's slapped on there, right? Like, even with Jaws of the Lion, it could be a different theme. It wouldn't matter.
It could be like...
I don't think it would
Space
excite
Explorers
me
or
that
whatever.
much more. Unless it was like Everdell, Jaws of the Lion.
Now we're getting into a whole nother...
Wow. Okay,
Wow.
somebody is like going to hate me in the comments or something.
But I don't know. Like, this didn't change my mind. I feel that we have not finished the scenarios in this.
No.
And I don't know if I have the willpower to keep going. To be
Maybe
totally
if
honest.
there's another lockdown.
If there's let's hope that
Just
never
kidding,
happens.
I'm just kidding.
Let's hope that never happens. But like,
Jokes.
just the whole remembering this person's disarmed. Okay, this person
It's just
moves
a lot.
this.
Yeah,
this does this.
It's heavier than
I want to play
any game that we ever play.
So this is more of a it's me, not the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I think
would
the
agree.
game is really
great.
well done.
Obviously, I mean, look at BGG, right?
Yeah, like this
people love this game.
People love Gloomhaven.
I don't love this game.
I don't like.
I also don't
love
hate
this game
it.
either.
I wouldn't say I hate it. It's just not a game that I really want to play very often, ever.
No, if I would play this, I would want to play it online. No, not online. I would want to play like
an app.
Like an app. Like a video game, much like the old video games that I grew up, like Zelda and all that stuff. I would like to play that because then it can manage all those things for me. It's like, okay, this person needs to be healed. This person's poisoned. This person's disarmed. Then it does it all for you.
Yeah.
Just remembering, okay, this person or this villain then moves 2, but then they actually move 3 because
and then they're
this
stunned,
or
and then
this.
they have a Like,
I just can't do it.
I don't blame you.
I can't do it. So I'm going to be in the minority in this one. I truly am. This is my personal rating on my enjoyment of the game. I'm giving it a 60% chance of meeples. Again, it's not the game, it's me. And going into this, I was thinking, this is the smaller version of Gloomhaven. It's a more accessible version of Gloomhaven. Maybe it's one that we will get into. It's a cooperative, adventure-style game. We can work together, enjoy those times together. But in the end, it was just so much micromanaging of just all these little things stacked on top of one another. And so for that, I didn't enjoy it as much as I hoped I would. So I'm giving it a 60% chance, meeples. And so in the comments, I'm sure people say I'm crazy, and that's all right. But that's the great thing about this hobby is there's so many games. Thousands upon tens of thousands of games.
Yeah, and Jaws of the Lion won't be for everyone.
No.
It'll be for a lot of people, probably. But not everyone.
But not us. So
not us.
There you have it. That is our thoughts on Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion. Check us out on Facebook, Cloudy with a Chance of Meeples. My name is Brent.
And I'm Nicole.
Until next time, grab your umbrella. The forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and remember to grab your umbrella because the forecast is cloudy with a chance of meeples.